And or an alternate.
Kelly Doherty.
Bob Walk for Umatilla, alternate on the CDA.
Joel Peterson, I'll for tomorrow, an alternate on the CDA.
Josh Burns, you can tell electric.
Thank you. Just before Boardman Fire, one more time, if you don't mind.
Okay. Nick Cox, I'm Reese Training Center,
Yeah.
Oregon National Guard,
All right.
Oregon Military Department.
Thank you. Emily, can you help us out with the folks who are online?
Yeah, we have Doug Olson.
Umatilla County Council, Doug Olson.
Elizabeth Howard.
Attorney for the CDA at Schwabe.
Brad Baird.
Brad Baird with Anderson Perry Associates.
David Sykes.
David Sykes, Moore County Commissioner.
Brian Lemke.
Brian Lemke with the Carpenters Union, Pendleton Building Trades, and Eastern Oregon Workforce Board.
Andy Lindsay.
Andy Lindsay with Anderson Perry Associates.
Gib Evans.
Gabe Evans with IRZ Consulting.
John Murray.
John Murray, Port of Morrow Commissioner.
Morrow County Planning.
Hi, Tamara Mabbott, Morrow County Planning.
And Ryan DeGraff.
Ryan DeGraff, Business Oregon. Thank you.
Maybe an M. Berg.
Yeah, it's Mike Bergstrom, just interested citizen.
And IRIDS office. And I don't know if I got to JDW. Did I say that?
No. This is JD Tubby. Sorry, I'm not able to be there. I have another meeting immediately after this that I can't miss, so I had to be remote.
And then a citizen, and that's it.
Thank you and welcome everyone. And Michelle.
Michelle Lanigan, private citizen.
Thank you. Greg, when I walked in, there was this packet and I don't know where it's, who it's from or what it is. It says citizen comments for the Columbia Development Authority concerning Executive Director Greg Smith. And it is a number of pages long. And I guess we just put it into the record.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So did you have a copy of this, Emily?
I don't.
Okay. All right.
I guess there's one here on.
Oh, you got it. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right. Next on the agenda, we have a public comment period, and this is referencing public comments on executive director performance. And I want to turn to Elizabeth. Can you give us some guidance on this item, Elizabeth?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. PZ, I would like to ask that we postpone any conversations related to the executive director performance or performance review until after our executive session.
Okay, so just later in the agenda, is that what you're recommending?
Yeah, potentially, but we need to have, I think, a discussion as the board and lawyer and a privileged conversation related to this topic before this proceeds.
All right, thank you. We move to the consent agenda, and that has an item A with respect to the board meetings and adoption of video minutes form. Can you help me with that item 1A1, what that is about, Greg?
You bet, Mr. Chair. So board members, one of the things we've determined internally as staff is that rather than trying to capture the meeting minutes, let's record them and let's present them online as recorded. We've reached out to Bill Oley, our legal counsel at Schwabe, Williamson and Wyatt, and he would have me read this if I may to you.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Instead of meeting minutes, we have attached the video recording of the meeting according to the CDA's attorney. in quotes, you only need to produce the video or written minutes. You don't need to do both. ORS 192.650, if you do produce written minutes in addition to the video, those are public records and need to be produced upon request. But you don't need to create them if the video exists. That said, the video must contain the following: members present, motions, proposals, resolutions, orders, ordinances, and measures proposed and their disposition. Results of all votes and the vote of each member by name, except for public bodies consisting of more than 25 members, unless recording by name is requested by a member of that body. The substance of any discussion on any matter and a reference to any document discussed at the meeting, unless even a reference to the document is exempt under public records law. Mr. Chair, I'd share with you our previous meeting from November 26, 2024. The recorded meeting is online.
Okay, so the minutes we're talking about consenting to of the 26th, that is a video. We don't have one written at this time.
That's correct.
And just for clarification, are we being recorded now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I would look for a motion to accept the consent agenda, and you've heard the explanation that I've heard.
Actually, Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I have an issue with that mainly because like we've lost recordings in the past.
Mhm.
So if we lose the recording, I'm not so sure that that's a good idea. I'd rather have it over the written record.
Okay.
Okay, so noted. I'm still looking for a motion.
So I was just going to make note of the, what was included in the packet under the adoption of video minutes. The form there says the location of the meeting is at Port of Morrow, 2 East Marine Drive. I think it should reflect that it's at the Sage Center.
Correct.
Sage Center,
I'll take
okay.
that.
So is that a motion with that correction? Or I'm still looking for a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda with the form here that's to be filled out to accurately reflect the location of the meeting.
Okay, so noted. It's been moved. You heard the motion. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair, I have absolutely no issue if the board would like us to continue with written meeting minutes. It's absolutely no issue. We're just trying to make sure that we capture any and all comments.
Okay. Well, for lack of a second, I guess we don't accept the recorded version, notwithstanding the correction on the location form.
Perfect. So what we'll
Okay.
do, Mr. Chair, is we can go back, take the recorded version, we will put them into a written form and have them available at your January meeting.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I should have asked this beforehand. So the adoption of the form is a separate, I think should be a separate item on that.
Oh,
I don't care for the minutes just being the video. Because if you gotta go find something, unless there's some other mechanism to, if you wanna go look for, hey, I'm looking for, you know, the discussion about the road. You know, you have to listen to the whole thing or look through the whole thing to find it.
I strongly agree with you. We're just
I
trying to
don't-
accommodate.
You know, I think they should be posted. That's fine, the video. But I don't think that we should rely on that. I don't think the minutes should be in the video.
Okay.
Or maybe there's something out there. I think the city of Boardman uses a variety of something that kind of categorizes things. But it's a subscription-based deal where, you know, you got paid for it.
So
And I don't know.
other platforms that are really good at capturing the minutes, so.
Okay.
But for right now, I mean, I don't.
If you'll give us a little bit grace, we'll
Yeah.
get these recorded minutes transcribed and we will have them available in January.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
So with that, how should I will make a motion to approve.
The form?
No.
Okay.
And then we hold off.
I'm sorry, just hold on. I got ahead of myself there.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay. We're gonna move on. That's okay.
Okay.
informational reports, and I'm looking at you, Director Smith, for Oregon Trail and explosion site update, and that might be Fred.
It is. If we could turn to Freddie, actually has a little bit of good news for the CDA. And Mr. Chair, what I would share with you is right now, this is informational with your staff's intent to begin proceeding forward on advancing these projects. But with that said, Fred.
Yeah, my report is in two items, the Oregon Trail and also the road report.
Fred, let me interrupt just for a second. Can those of you online hear us okay? A nod from anyone. Thank you, Elizabeth. Go ahead, Fred. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
So on the Oregon Trail, we had the original plan. And then we found that there were some zoning issues that we needed to change the plan. And as such, we turned our project into two parts. The first part was the Oregon Trail, and the second part was for the igloo and the extension of the igloo. And so that's what we have, an amendment that we ask for your approval. And this amendment is about 12% below, even by changing the zoning, it saved us like $70,000, which is good news. But we ask for you to approve the amendment so we can go forward. The igloo site, our contractor, Granite, has continued the work even without the contract. And they're finishing the igloo site this week. And by Monday, they will start the Oregon Trail part. And our intention is to make sure it is done before the end of the year. So that's what we ask for, your approval of the.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what it said about the Oregon Trail.
The Oregon Trail work will start next month. The igloo site is
And that was
being
to move
completed.
it across the street.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any questions for Fred? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, quick question. Who asked that question? Or I guess maybe it's more of a point of order. Who asked that question, and was it a board member? Or
Yeah,
what?
the question was asked by Michelle Lanigan, and she is here as a public citizen.
Okay, I think she's behind a chair and I can't see. Anyway, I was just curious. So
No, not a problem. Thank you, JD.
Sorry, I just couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the road design, again, we are completing our road design by our engineers, Anderson Perry. We are ready to go, get into the bid if that's what we want to do. But I feel like that's premature. I asked that we get the two ports to meet and ODOT, because there are issues that we need to resolve. What is the 50-50? We have a $7 million and another $5 million additional. None of that decision is being made. This is would be informational. We want to invite also ODOT to make sure this $7 million doesn't go away, because all of us, there are rules that we need to follow. I recommend that we meet right after the first of the year, January 7, like 1 p.m., if that works, or January 8 at 10 a.m., if that works. It works for Greg and I and our engineers. Just want to make sure that gets into our agenda.
Commissioner?
I know I've talked with our staff and our engineer is available to meet with you. So
Okay,
we just got to make that connection there.
It'd be great if you could be there too, Joe, because this is kind of a policy issue that we need to.
Okay.
Beside the road, we need to make decision, because the original concept is it has to be 50-50.
Right.
We can't cut the children in half. We gotta make a decision. There is a reasonable approach to it that you would like to discuss, but that you could take to your board and the CDA.
Great, thank you. All right. Anything else right on that?
So do you have a preference on the date that Fred is sharing? We need to keep this thing moving forward. Can
You
we
say 7th or what was it?
1 PM on 7, that's Tuesday, or 10 AM on the 8th.
I can do one on the 7th.
I'd have to check with our engineer and on that, but, what day did you say, Kim?
I can do one at 1 PM on the 7th.
Let's just call it that, and. Okay, we're just gonna have to adjust it if.
Okay, and then we go forward with that.
So Fred, one of the, and maybe this is better for Anderson Perry, but I'll flow it through you. We have several questions from Anderson Perry regarding the paperwork necessary for the design package. Can you share with the board a little bit more information about that?
Yeah, I feel like I like to table that questions till we meet with the two entities
Okay.
and figure it out. That is more technical question that can come later.
Yeah.
I don't think that's is premature.
Yeah.
And we will work with our Anderson Perry.
Okay.
Okay, so nothing more on item 4 about informational reports, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Excuse me, did we get the approval? We need to get the approval of the amendment.
Oh, yeah.
The price
We did
came
not,
down.
Well, the price came down.
Came
Okay.
down from original by 70,000. The contractor are doing it without contract, and we need to get that approved.
You need that prior to the meeting.
No,
Today.
this is now.
Okay,
This is the Oregon Trail project. Again,
all right.
we
Great.
did it in 2 parts. It's a change order, and we just need you to, for your.
Has that been approved before?
Yes.
Yes.
So all we're doing is approving that it costs less than we thought it was going to.
That's correct.
Yeah, and finalizing.
All right.
Can I clarify that? Sorry, just because this change order indicates an increase in price. And
No,
JD, sorry
it's
if
a-
I jumped in there.
No,
but-
it's a decrease in price, what is it? By 61,000.
Okay. Decrease in price.
Elizabeth, where do you see that?
Yeah.
Well, at least my link on the agenda has a change order that indicates the original amount was 254. The amount of the modification is 215, and the revised amount is 469,000. Am I looking at the wrong document?
No, it's already, the final number, it was 530, and now it's 469.
Okay.
So we don't have that,
Yeah.
or do I?
You do.
At the back of the, yeah, I think that's it.
I'm looking at the same thing Elizabeth's looking at, I
Okay.
think. As original amount, 254,000, amount of this modification, 215,000. Is that what you're looking at, Elizabeth?
Yeah. Yeah.
The final number that you're gonna vote on is 469,000. And that complete the entire project.
And that is less than the
Less than our
original.
original number, which was 530,000.
Okay,
I'm looking for the 530,000 figure is all I'm looking for.
That was the estimate. And we cut it down in 2, which is the Oregon Trail. We gave the go ahead. Then they came back with a new number that is a change order, and that is the final number.
So Elizabeth, would you be comfortable if I made a motion to accept the change order to reduce the cost by $70,000? Would
If
that work for you?
If that's what we've actually done here, I think I'm fumbling a little bit. I apologize. I just
get
want to
it.
make sure we've also followed our process to do a change order pursuant to the terms of the RFP that's been signed and executed for this. And Greg and Fred, I apologize. I'm a little out of the loop on this, so I don't know if we did hear that or not.
Yeah, we have followed the process. So, yeah, we followed all the process of the contract.
A little heartburn here is the 530 is not on this page.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking. I see all these numbers. I don't have 530.
Because we changed it after the zoning issues, we changed it. We broke it down in two parts. So it's not 530 anymore. We didn't sign 530. We signed the 254. What? Yeah.
Okay,
And then
and
now
that's
there
just
is
for
the
Oregon Trail.
Yes, and now there is this second part of it, which brings it to total of 469. We never signed 530. I mentioned that it was originally 530. We broke it down in two parts. And now the final number is 469.
So if I add the original amount limit of 254 and then the amount of this modification at 215, that gives me 469.
Correct. So you're approving the 469 final number.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
I don't know if we are asking for a motion here or if we're asking for direction for you to sign it. Do you know? Just because it's not in action, it's just an informational report.
So I think Fred is just letting us know that something we previously acted upon is going to be less than what we had already approved.
Correct.
Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
that's-
Thank you, Emily. That's awesome.
Amazing.
So that means we're good to go forward. We appreciate the information.
It's already been approved.
Yeah, it's already
It's
taken care
just,
of.
it's less.
Awesome.
Okay. But you're asking for you mentioned 70,000. That'd be.
I'm an
You mentioned
engineer.
70,000.
I thought I heard
Yeah.
70.
Okay.
Maybe I heard that
Okay.
wrong.
61.
It is 61.
About 61.
Okay.
I don't have it all to the cents, so about 60.
Between the two, but the explosion side hasn't changed.
No, the total amount is 469. The original was, our estimate was 500 plus. So the difference is about 61,000.
Thank you, Fred.
Okay.
Just to add some additional confusion to this, when we originally started this project, we started around 700 to 750,000. Then we moved down to an estimate of 500, and now we're nailing it down to what the cost is going to be.
Great. Thank you so much, all of you. All right.
Is Elizabeth comfortable with that? I guess I want to make sure the attorney's happy.
So if you guys are looking for a motion, I think what Emily said is correct, that we would want to move to authorize Greg to execute a change order so long as it is consistent with the RFP, whatever the contract we have in place. I think that's what you're saying, Fred, is that when you originally bid the project, it was 750 and it was awarded based upon that number. But that would be my suggestion for a motion, so.
But do we need a motion?
You don't need it.
You don't say.
We don't need a motion.
Yeah.
It's already been offered.
We don't. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, let us move on to.
Chair, my hand's still up. You
Go
good?
ahead, JD.
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions about the road work, and so I for the benefit of other new board members, I'm wondering if it might make sense to have, I don't know if it's a work session, just kind of a brief overview of the road, maybe the next meeting in January. I think there was, I don't know, just to get better understanding of it, like the funding, the mechanisms back, who's maintaining it, how it's all being constructed, other requirements and things like that. So I don't know. If it's, yeah.
Mr. Talby, that would be the purpose of it. We will give a big overview. We let everybody finalize. The design is finalized. If you have expertise in the road design, as you said, or we've done that several times. We met with ODOT. I think we will have ODOT to give the bigger overview of it as far as, so we'll give a background and also some this would be informational.
So why don't we do
Yeah,
this?
really informational, just get more information on it.
Correct.
Based upon what Mr. Tubby's saying, why don't we make sure everyone's on the same page? And let's make sure we're going at the same pace the board would like to go. And so why don't we plan for the January meeting, put on the agenda and an update, an informational update on the road. We will have big charts, we'll have everything laid out, and we can go step by step on what the board's activity has been over the last couple of years.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, JD.
Will that include, Greg, how money comes to pay for all that?
Correct. Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, the 7 million comes from House Bill 2017, but I will have that all laid out.
Right.
Great. Okay. All right. We're ready to move to informational reports with possible work session item number 5, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, during the November meeting, an audit was presented to the board. With that comes a representational letter. This board did not take action, and I'm prepared to sign the letter, but Mr. Chair, you also will need to sign, and so I would assume you would like a motion to approve accepting of the audit.
Yeah, it's standard procedure that you have a proposed, approved, and adopted budget if you're a public body, and then you have an audit, and we have an audit report that has been given, and I'm happy to sign, the audit report, and if you are too, and I don't know that requires a motion. Elizabeth, can you help us out on that? I don't know that requires a motion.
An audit. Yeah.
Just an audit report. JD?
I think you had a question to Elizabeth Howard first, so I don't know if you want to, if there's a question to answer first. Okay.
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So just as a note, it appears that on page 32, that one comment that came up the last time about the finding, it was the cause was modified. So now it says the causes of the noncompliance occurred during the board management. So I think it's audit page 32. Report on compliance with other matters, finding the 2024-05 noncompliance to Oregon state budget laws for the 24-20 fiscal year ending 24, fiscal year ending 25 budgets not being adopted. And so prior, it said something along the lines of, it referenced the lawsuit and other things like that didn't seem appropriate. So I just want, just for the record, note that it's changed that to the noncompliance occurred due to board and management oversight. I don't know if oversight is strong enough, but regardless. But I do think that if there was a motion to authorize the chair to sign it, I do think we need to have a motion in there to make sure that we're taking steps to rectify the finding of the audit.
Okay, would you like to make that motion, JD?
I would do so. I would like to make a motion to approve for the chair to sign the audit report and for staff and the board to take necessary steps to rectify the noncompliance or the finding that was identified in the audit.
I'd second that.
Been moved and seconded. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Why don't we do a roll call on one?
Kim,
Aye.
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 JD,
Aye.
Thank you.
So
Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, can I add on to
Yeah,
that?
please, Joe.
Since we've just made that motion to do that, how does the budget committee, we got to form a budget committee?
If you choose to, yes.
Yes. And should we do that now? Should we do it next month? The question is, how should that look?
Budget committee typically would be made up of the members of the board plus some other people. I don't know if there's a numerical requirement who have to be on that, but that's how we do things at the board, is that we have citizens as well as commissioners. And
So this,
same for you, Joe.
Yes, same for us.
So Joe, Mr. Chair, this is a new committee. This would be a new action, so whatever direction you provide for us, just let us know and we will implement it. I think a budget committee would make sense. Probably the wisest approach would be for staff to create what we anticipate next year's budget looking like, based upon current funding, and then bringing it forward for consideration, of which then you folks can give us direction. But if they'd like a separate committee.
And typically what happens is the staff inquires about people who have the expertise and the time to volunteer to do that. And as well as the elected officials.
You know, the one thing I would share, because we have to manage expectation, this has been the biggest issue thus far, as managing the expectation. So whatever budget we create, I can assure you will not be what you adopt. It'll be different, because remember, we go back and forth.
Yep.
With our funding partner.
Yep, you
Right.
propose, you know, then we approve and it's adopted and there are changes and those sorts of things along the way.
Correct.
Right.
So what we could do is perhaps a preliminary budget, and then allow staff to go do its work, and then to bring back the final budget for review and concurrence.
That would be fine, but I'm more concerned about the makeup of the committee. So,
Oh, I see.
if we have to have a committee, should it just be this board, or should it be like our boards do? And
I think it's
Should
useful,
there be-
I think it's useful to have public input that isn't associated with the direct body, but we've got a lot of representation around this table, so I don't have a strong opinion about it. John?
So I'm kind of with Joe on this.
Which is,
I think should be part of this board and members of the public.
okay,
so can we go forward, just suggesting that, like our boards, each one of us representatives here on this board suggest somebody to be on the budget.
sure,
A
that sounds
citizen to
great.
be on the budget committee.
That
And we
sounds
could
great.
bring that next month.
All right,
So how big of the committee do you want? I'll throw out, you know, what the county does. We have 3 county people and then we have 3 citizens.
Same.
So
you have 5 and
I
5.
got 5 and 5, yeah. So there'd be 5 here.
5 citizens, so I
Five-
guess probably
five
the first order of business would be to ask staff to advertise for interest in citizens to be budget committee members. Apparently, sounds like we're on valuable.
We could. I think we just ask our commissioners to suggest somebody, to find somebody.
How would it work if it were the 5 and the alternates?
But then they're back to that they're people that are tied to the entities of the
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
are sitting
Okay.
here. And if we're trying to get actual citizen comment, then I think that the best would be to advertise.
And I wouldn't be opposed if, you know, like if Commissioner Doran wanted to sit on the committee, I'd recuse myself and let him sit on the budget committee.
I think citizen, I think Jeff's right, I think citizen should be a citizen.
Yeah. But for sure, I mean, but 5 and 5, so I like your idea of staff going out and
Advertising and then
See who's interested.
and then we appoint
Right.
those members.
Of those who apply.
Okay, does that give you some direction?
It does. I do want to manage expectations, gang. You got a 70% employee and a director, so we will take this as a priority. But at the end of the day, we're going to be prioritizing work.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we appreciate it. All right,
Can I just clarify? So, just that we would be acting under the IGA Section 3 Sub D, which gives you the authority to establish advisory boards and committees. So I assume this would be an advisory committee. Or are you trying to, because we certainly can't delegate authority of the board to a committee.
It's advisory in my
Yep,
view.
it's an
They're
advisory,
just gonna provide the board with it.
and then the board adopts the budget.
Yeah,
all
Perfect.
right.
Yeah, just
Thank
like the counties do and.
yeah.
The other IGA that we're involved with, broadband, it's.
Budget committee looks at it. They propose the budget, but they propose the budget to the members of the board. that gets approval. We have 30, I think we have a 30-day period in there between approval and adoption where we can make corrections and so forth. I think that's kind of how I recollect the project.
Yeah, I think there's gotta be 2 meetings of.
Yeah, okay, yeah. All righty, well, we'll do it that way.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Sounds
Mr.
good.
Chair, I just want to make sure I repeat one more time, we do have to manage workload expectation.
Mhm.
So we're all on the same page on that.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. 5B, OLDCC partner match.
Yeah, so, Board, I'd like to read a resolution for your consideration. One of the issues we have before us right now is the Port of Morrow as our fiduciary is carrying portions of members' financial obligations. So if I may, I'll read this. This would be a resolution to equally share costs. Whereas pursuant to the terms of the amended and restated Columbia Development Authority intergovernmental agreement, the Columbia Development Authority is comprised of 5 parties: the Port of Morrow, the Port of Umatilla, the County of Morrow, the County of Umatilla, and the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. Whereas pursuant to Section 3.1 of the amended and restated Columbia Development Authority intergovernmental agreement, the Columbia Development Authority has the power to make, pass, or adopt resolutions which are necessary for the governance, management, operation, and execution of powers vested in the Columbia Development Authority, and for carrying out provisions of the amended and restated intergovernmental agreement. Whereas each of the 5 parties has historically contributed equally 1/5 each towards the cost, there's a correction right there, the cost and expenses of the Columbia Development Authority that are not otherwise covered by grant funds. Whereas in recent months, some parties have not contributed towards all costs and expenses of the Columbia Development Authority. Be it resolved that except as otherwise directed by board motion or resolution, each of the 5 parties shall pay an equal share 1/5 of all costs and expenses incurred by the Columbia Development Authority, where those costs are not otherwise covered by grant funds. And be it further resolved that the executive director shall work with the Columbia Development Authority's fiscal agent, the Port of Morrow, to invoice and collect all current and outstanding costs due from each of the parties. Be it further resolved that payment shall be due within 30 days of invoice. A motion to approve and adopt this resolution was made by Lincoln.
And this would be resolution, something 24, like 0124?
I can get you the number on that.
Okay, so something -24 is what it would be.
And the challenge we're having, gang, is Umatilla County has expressed, well, I won't explain, I want to explain for them, but they have an outstanding invoice that the Port of Morrow is currently carrying that burden.
Okay.
And they've expressed to me their desire to not carry that burden.
I think, and I totally understand that, and like I said at the last meeting, if our motion were to pass, we would pay all of our debts in full, first of all. But until that happens, I think we're putting the cart in front of the horse with the pending lawsuit. I think that the lawsuit needs to be taken care of first. I think we're putting the cart in front of the horse.
I hear you, Mr. Chair. The challenge we have, and I'll let the Port of Morrow speak for themselves, but the challenge we have is the port is making up for that 1/5 and carrying that burden. So effectively, the Port of Morrow is carrying 2/5.
We'd be more than happy to pay for that as long as the county had something to be able to recoup our losses with. You know, all we're trying to do is have some land that we've been a partner in this since day one until March 26th. And then we were removed from being a partner, an entity who was able to recoup losses. That's why we made the motion that we made last month, was to, and I know everybody was supposed to take it back to the respective boards, and I don't know if you all had a chance to do that or not. But that's why we said, if it passes, we won't bother you on your side of the county line anymore, and just let us deal with our side of the county line so we can have something to go forward to and to pay those bills. So that's why I made the motion. So.
Okay, so.
Does it not say this in our bylaws somewhere already?
Yes, it does. It does.
It does not, actually. The bylaws are silent on how costs are to be paid. I think historically this was, and I think, Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've looked, but we haven't found a motion that addressed this I just think historically that was how it was done. It was split evenly, and Commissioner Schaefer, you're sort of acknowledging that, I know, in your comments. But the because the bylaws are not clear on that, maybe they contemplate that, maybe it's been implied. I mean, as you know, the bylaws are a contract. We call them bylaws, but it's really a contract between the parties. So that it's not specific on this topic.
And I'd share with the board, this resolution did not come out of thin air. The Port of Morrow reached out to me, expressed their concern on the outstanding payable, and asked me to address it.
All right, and you've heard the comments here. I just, for the record, again, I reiterate that the Port of Umatilla will pay whatever we're invoiced. And if that's half of it, that's what we're obliged to do unless and until we can become a partnership. So.
Yeah, I would just share with this board. I don't speak for any of you. I just share this issue's been raised. And at some point, this board's going to need to reach resolution with the Port of Morrow.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're carrying this burden on themselves.
Commissioner Taylor, anything else you want to add?
No. I don't think so.
All right, great, thank you. All right, item number 6.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yeah, please.
Greg, were you looking for
Direction.
motion? Yeah.
I'm looking for direction because at the end of the day, I have to read.
Motion. Yes.
Correct.
Are you prepared to make a motion, Commissioner?
You asked me if I had enough something, but now I'm thinking moving forward, where it states moving forward. Excuse me. Are we committed? Are we committed to whatever expenses come up? Well, if only 4 entities are paying, no matter what it is, does it commit those 4 entities to pay that full amount?
The obligation does not go away.
Right.
And so based upon the number who pay, it gets divided among those who pay. And I'll share with you, board, this is a real concern. We're dealing with the cultural and archaeological resource project that Fred mentioned earlier. That needs to be paid for. We have the road project, of which, yes, we do have House Bill 2017, but we are going to need a line of credit to make sure our vendors get paid in a timely manner. And the state of Oregon, at least to the best of my knowledge, does not pay interest expense on those line of credits. In addition to that, we have outstanding legal obligations that continue to mount. And then on top of that, we just have our regular membership dues.
So I'm looking at the IGA and I'm looking under liabilities. It says, to the extent permitted by law, the debts, liabilities, and obligations of the authority shall be the debts, liabilities, and obligations of the authority only, and not of any or all of the parties to this agreement. So that's the 5 of us. So it should be the CDA paying those bills.
Commissioner Schaefer, I don't disagree. I need your board, you folks, to make decisions so I can generate revenue to pay the bills.
Yeah. I know a great way to do that.
Okay, so we've heard you and we've heard Mr. Schaefer, so it might be time to, I don't see it on the agenda, but it might be time where each of the entities respond to what we agreed to with the motion that was made in our last meeting by Mr. Tubby.
Glad you brought that up.
Where we would report back. So if we're okay doing that, I just go around and have each of the entities report back on what we agreed to do, which was take the proposal back to our respective body. And I don't know who wants to go first.
Well, I'll go first. At our last board commissioners meeting, I handed out a copy of the motion to the other 2 commissioners, and the consensus was that Morrow County will stay in the course that we'd already taken.
The same with Port of Morrow. Our commissioners got that, and there was no change in direction
Can I ask why you guys went down that road? I mean, by the motion, it would remove you, both of you from a lawsuit. It would give you the land to do with on your side as you see fit. I mean, the only thing it does is hurt you doing Matilla County. So I'm wondering why you're still staying the course.
I think the port is in a better position. I think.
For what?
with this. Just going forward.
But going forward with my motion, we wouldn't even have a say on your side of the county line.
Okay, and we're gonna ask JD. JD, did you take this back to your board?
I did, and the only comment that we had is concerning the 4,019 acres because that was part of an agreement. I think it's an issue we had with the March 26th motion as well. That and anything else subsequently to that is that the 4,019 acres was an agreement that was completely separate from this entire decisionary process.
Yeah, and that confirms what most of us understand would happen with the 4,100 acres. Yes.
Yeah, but that was the only comment. Other than that, we support the motion.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Blanc, would you come up to the table and?
Well, we discussed it with our board and with our legal counsel, and due to the ongoing litigation with the suit brought by the county, Umatilla County, and on advisement of our legal counsel, we've been advised not to comment on the issues in any public forum, and not that we're not wanting to reach some kind of an agreement, but maybe in lieu of the litigation, maybe that's not the way to do it. Any settlement proposals that the county has, we'd like to see come through the attorneys. That kind of gives each members and their board some protection as far as any repercussions from that due to the litigation. And like divisions of the property and whatnot, and then maybe we can reach some kind of a settlement agreement involving the attorneys, and then, well, maybe John, you could, through your attorney, send your recommendation to all the member attorneys, and maybe try to get it resolved through the attorneys.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Ready to go to item number 6, Director Smith?
Yes, sir.
All right. My understanding on this one is that let's see. I have been advised by counsel based on the litigation to not discuss this.
Correct. So what I would just share with the board very briefly is during the November meeting, we reported on an executive director annual performance evaluation procedure. And we also discussed an executive director's annual assessment, which you folks have copies of. I had this prepared for today's meeting, but based upon legal counsel's advice to the board, I would encourage you to follow legal counsel.
Is this from the litigation from Umatilla County? Is that the litigation you're referring to?
No. We need to go into executive session, and I will read the ORS, so most of you are going to have to leave and stand out there for a while. The CDA may hold an executive session meeting for the permissible reasons stated below under ORS 192.666, paragraph 2. Representatives of the news media and designated staff and other persons shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience will be asked to leave the room, or the CDA board may adjourn to another meeting room. The public virtual Zoom meeting will be closed during the executive session, as permissible executive session meetings are not subjected to HB 2560. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision will be made in this executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room in person and open the public virtual Zoom meeting link again. And then A, for the purpose of consultation with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of the public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. That's on under ORS 1926602H. And for the purpose of review of the employment related performance of the CEO, ORS 192.6602I. So Emily, I don't know what we're gonna do because you need to be out of the room as well. So if you could shut that down, and JD, I don't know how to have you be connected with us.
I can keep him in.
You okay, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, really quick, as we go into executive session, I have been advised by our legal counsel that we do not need to record executive session.
That's fine.
And so I just want to make sure we're all clear on.
Okay. So the recording's gonna go off. You're gonna leave the. Emily, I don't see Greg.
I just sent him a text. He should be right over.
Okay. We are going to go ahead with a motion in the absence of Director Smith to be respectful of JD's schedule. So all of you heard the resolution and or have read that while we were in executive session. Would someone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the resolution to retain special legal counsel. There's not a number on it. Do you want to give it a number right now?
Let's have it be 12/24, because that we certainly haven't done more than one resolution a month since we started.
Okay.
12/24.
Yeah,
24/12 or 12/24?
12/24.
Thank you.
So resolution to retain legal counsel. Resolution number 12/24
Thank you.
to be signed by board chair.
Thank you. It's been moved. You heard the motion.
Oh, second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the signing of resolution 12/24 by the board chair. Those, and would you do a roll call? And why don't you start with JD because he's got a bail.
Perfect. JD,
Yes.
Thank you.
Joe,
Yes.
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Yes, thank you. All right. Welcome back, Greg. You have, for the good of the order here, I have something that was handed to me by Michelle. I'm gonna take a copy, send it to you, and you can pass that around. That should be part of the record, along with this, that was received also. And for the good of the order, anything else, Joe, please?
Yes, I think we should go back to number 6. And
Okay,
we don't need to do that today, but I just wanted for the record to show that we do need to do that evaluation procedure and evaluation form. It needs to be approved.
okay,
And you gave us reasons that we should not do that.
right.
For legal counsel. So I don't have any troubles getting that down the road, but I want the record to show that we need to do that.
Thank you. All right, so there's a lot going on. We have been talking about a January meeting, and I wanted to get our schedules out if we could. And I personally can do January 21, but I can't do the 28th. And
Are you, Mr. Chair, you're referring to the next board meeting?
next board meeting.
So we typically have those calendared.
I know, that's why I'm saying,
We're needing to adjust.
if you don't mind,
Okay?
I can be available on the 21st of January, but I cannot be available on the 28th.
The 21st, I'm meeting with the director of OHA
Okay,
in Portland.
my next date that I have down is 18 February.
Oh, smokes, that's a ways away.
What about like January 15th or 16th?
Will there be anything to
I cannot
do
do
over the
16.
weekend?
I could do 15.
You. 15th would work.
I could do 15.
15 works for me.
I can do the 15th.
Okay. 15, 1 PM. Correct?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. I have to step out.
Thank you, JD. Joe, can we meet here again?
I'm sure we can. We'll have to check
Thank you.
the schedule in there.
A little quieter here than it was at the Sage Center. It's not like a 747 taking off in that room.
All right. Anything else by anyone else? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.